Hey there, Math 7 students. Today we're going to talk about congruent figures. First, we need to talk about what a rigid motion is. Rigid motion is a transformation that preserves length and angle measure. So, for example, translations, reflections, and rotations, those are all different types of rigid motion. Congruent figures, the simplest definition is two figures are congruent if they have the same size and the same shape. If they are congruent figures, they have congruent angles and corresponding congruent sides. So corresponding congruent angles and corresponding congruent sides. There is a good diagram in your book on page 478 that shows what two congruent figures look like. But we're going to do an example right now. A triangle has vertices G, which is -3, -1. And so I'm going to plot that. -3, -1 is there. H is at -3, -4. And I is at -5, -1. And I'm going to connect those dots real quick. It says identify any congruent figures in the coordinate plane below. Well, let's notice we have one side that has a length of 2. One leg is a length of 2. One leg is a length of 1, 2, 3. And so are there any other triangles that have one leg that has a length of 2 and the other leg of the triangle has a length of 3? And I look at this guy, this one is 2 by 2, so that one won't work. This one is 2 by 4, right? QR looks like it's 4 units long. So that one's not congruent. DEF is not congruent. But JLK, this side is 2 lengths, 2 units, sorry, and this one is 3 units. And so triangle JKL appears to be congruent to triangle GHI. Also, triangle ABC is congruent to triangle GHI because it has 2 and a 3. Legs of length 2 and 3 mean that the third side is also congruent. So that is one example. Question 2 says the lighter figure is congruent to the darker figure. Describe a sequence of rigid motions between the figures. Guys, for these types of questions, there's often more than one answer. There's more than one way to get there. But there are also infinite wrong answers for these types of questions. So what do you think is going on between the lighter figure and the darker figure? Well, I think I would rotate the darker figure 90 degrees clockwise, right? We would rotate it this way, and so then it would end up, looking like this, right? 90 degrees clockwise about the origin. And then we would want to translate it, right? We want to move this side to here. So we would translate the image 4 units to the left. And that is how we would move the darker figure onto the lighter figure. Now, I have one more example for us today. Let's see here. It says you can use the buttons shown below to transform objects on a computer program. You can rotate objects 90 degrees in either direction and reflect objects in a horizontal or vertical line. How can you transform the cloud as shown below? So we start with this guy and we want it to end looking like this guy. And so I think we would start with a 90-degree clockwise rotation, followed by a reflection in a vertical line. So a 90 degrees clockwise rotation followed by a reflection in the vertical line would give you this. Thanks for watching. Go do your homework.